After the dragon was buried, the chief of the Era tribe grew a ring of mushrooms around the area where the tribe lived in order to prevent them from accidentally stumbling upon the dragon. And that is why, even to this day, the people of the Era tribe never venture beyond that ring of mushrooms for fear of encountering the dragon. The world was once completely empty, except for a cow, which fed itself with the mushrooms that grew on it. The mushroom, as it was called, had the power to create life, so it just created new mushrooms when the old ones were all eaten. But eventually, the mushroom grew lonely, so it decided to create other life that it could play with. So the mushroom went around placing its mushrooms everywhere. Then he created animals that could also feed on the mushrooms, like him. And then he began to create animals that could feed on the other animals, until he finally created humans, and those were the ancestors of the Era tribe. The world was covered with darkness. Everybody in it wanted to feel light, but there was none. One day, a girl had an idea. If I take on someone else's darkness, will they be able to feel light? So she tried it, and it worked. The person whose darkness she had taken away shone bright like a star. Soon, everybody was asking the girl to take on their darkness. She was kind, so she did. Eventually, the millions of glowing people illuminated the world. Now everybody could see and feel warmth, except for the girl who had generously taken on everyone else's darkness. The people she had saved began to feel guilty for taking her light, and they decided to take back all of her darkness so that she could feel the light herself. When they did, the girl became a bright ball of light. The others lifted her up into the sky, where she remains today as the sun, which lights up the entire world.
Now let's take a look at the actual history of the Era tribe and how they relate to these stories.
The history of the Arrow tribe starts like any other civilization, their birth to humans. It is still unknown the true beginning of the Arrow tribe, but it is told that the great mushrooms started the world they live in today. Their belief consists of a great wonderful creature that started a life by the mushrooms in its body. The reason for this belief is most likely due to the location of the Arrow tribe. The tribe is located in a circle of mushrooms, standing over 20 feet tall. The tribe could not answer the reason for these extraordinary large mushrooms, so the mushroom came to be. The first people of the Arrow tribe were two simple families. These families built a little community together within the ring of mushrooms. As the children of these two families started to mate, the population started to grow. Children grew older, filled with stupidity. One day, the young teenagers of the tribe decided to go far into the woods, beyond the tall mushrooms. As they kept wandering forward, they noticed the land started to change, going to the color green. The mushrooms started to grow smaller, but the grass and plants that they were used to seeing turned bigger and fresher. By the time they stopped, they were so deep in the forest, losing their ways. The teenagers lost their ways and could not contact anybody, so they thought that creating a fire to signal their families would be smart. Instead, they lit the forest on fire, destroying the lustrous greenery around them, and wiping many wild animals that lived among the forest. The teenagers, realizing what they have done, decided to run as fast as they could, ignoring the damage they caused. Eventually, the whole forest burned down, leaving a large clearing of burnt grass. After running out of the forest, the teens found their way to a hill, high up. As they looked over the hill, they saw the family's purple land of mushrooms off in the distance. To cover up the mistakes and avoid punishment for harming the land, the teenagers came up with a story to tell to the elders of the Arrow tribe. These teenagers spoke of a terrifying black dragon that breathed the fire, flew in from the north, and set the whole forest ablaze. The elders believed that the teenagers were not punished. Over the next few days, the entire tribe danced, chanted, and sang as loud as they could to please the all-powerful mushroom, so that they would be safe from this terrifying dragon. The Arrow tribe continued to do these chants daily to protect themselves, which one day, in a faraway cave, deep underground, a large dragon awoke from his long slumber, from all the noise that the Arrow people created. Furious from being woken, the dragon broke through the ground and soared its way toward the tribe. The elders were so surprised that the dragon came to them, even after they tried so hard to please the mushroom. So the elders came to a decision that the teenagers were at fault for provoking the dragon in the woods. As punishment, they sacrificed one of the teenagers to the dragon, and that kept the dragon calm. So every year when the dragon came back, the tribe would sacrifice one descendant from one of the original teenagers that ventured into the forest.
Now let's have a listen to how the Era tribe reacted to the European settlers arriving at their borders.
Like all new experiences, the Era tribe was very uncomfortable at first with the arrival of the European explorers. They came with massive ships that the Era tribe has never seen before, which gave them the idea of danger. The tribe leader, who was as frightened as the rest of the group, thought that these explorers must have been dangerous, so he decided to make them feel welcomed. He did not want his people to go to war, so he thought it was wise to treat them like royalty until they leave. They offered their food, which consisted of large amounts of mushrooms. The explorers of Europe have not tasted mushrooms before, as they thought of them to be poisonous. They were delighted by the wonderful taste and was keen on gathering this wonderful ingredient. The Era tribe, who was still frightened by the people, offered as many mushrooms as they could, but kept enough to feed the people of the tribe. The Era tribe wanted the explorers to leave, as they knew they posed a threat to their society. But the explorers did not leave. They set up camp beyond their society and came to visit the Era tribe every single day. They were curious on how a society that was not as civilized as them could thrive under such isolated conditions. The explorers shared a story of their families and world back home, where people did not always have simple lives. They told them that instead of trading food, they traded currencies. They explained how the government and royalty, and how people must follow laws to be alive. They all must work to make a living, and they also explained how they have the better civilization with the newest technology and weapons. But the Era tribe did not care. They knew their civilization was as productive as they can get, and the chief did not want the influence of these white people to get in his way. The chief did not let his people share stories of his society, but he shared them himself. He told these explorers to listen well, because this is the last time they will hear before they leave, intentionally letting the explorers know that they are no longer wanted. He explained about the world he owned, about the mushroom that ruled the world, about the fiery dragon that once put the world in harm, and about the girl that shone bright during the night. He shared how his people did not believe in buying food and materials from others, but sharing because of the need of others. He explained that there wasn't the need to work to survive, but the need to work to make others happy and strive. He wanted to teach the white people that he had the better civilization. He then told the people to leave his world and go back into theirs. The Europeans, surprised by his unsettledness, packed up their things and left. They did not want to fight because the Era tribe had nothing. The Era tribe is nothing to them but a group of savages. Although the mushrooms were priceless, they were not worth losing men over. The Era tribe carefully watched as the white packed their tents and their guns and left their boats. Excluding the few pounds of their delicious mushrooms, the Europeans left empty-handed, without a single drop of blood spilled. The Era tribe celebrated as they saw the boats voyage away back into their flawed world.